So Nico House and the universe is in tandem with one another. He just streamed out this brand new video. Nico House and the MCSC network breaking. Ben Dixon insinuates Bree Joy Gray is an Uncle Tom for supporting Jimmy's M4A strategy. Now, he said a lot of great stuff. Let's listen to him a little bit.
That dirty, those Venezuelan socialism and that Bolivian socialism, we're not talking about that. We're talking about that good old white Scandinavian socialism. That's the kind of socialism we want. Capitalism instills that mindset, that white supremacist mindset. And here we have been propping up capitalism. And that's just the first part. Let's go ahead and go back to the Warren part. Because, Warren? So Bree is actually being used as a tool to prop up progressive white supremacy. Interesting. Let's go ahead and check out another tweet from Ben. That's interesting.
What is that?
The thing about the accusations that I'm a Bernie supporter is that I took an inordinate amount of time to come out in support of him and regularly critique him. So he's telling you here, yeah, I was actually a Warren guy, and I was criticizing him more than I was criticizing Warren. And I was seriously considering Warren, in case they're going to put words in his mouth. Many of my closest friends support her, and we're absolutely still family. It gets better. It gets better. Elizabeth Warren showed a friend of mine some real love during an extremely tough time, and that means everything to me. So when I see her dancing or taking selfies, I'm not the least bit bothered, and she looks authentic. Our lenses determine how we see a thing. Well, you sound like you was taking notes out of Warren's bullshit handbook. Now, we got that out the way. Question real quick, Ben. Answer me this. Where was Elizabeth Warren at during Standing Rock? Where was she at? Oh, actually, she was nowhere to be found. Oh, no. It's not that she wasn't nowhere to be found. She wasn't nowhere to be found at Standing Rock. However, she did not mind making sure the media knew workers should be allowed to work.
Jill Stein was at Standing Rock. So Ben Dixon makes the point. Ben Dixon. I'm so sorry. Nico House makes the point that Ben Dixon is actually the person that defends white supremacy because he defends capitalism. Capitalism, according to Nico House, is inherently racist, sexist, ableist, ageist, all of the isms. And so inherent in capitalism is white supremacy. So when Ben Dixon said that Bernie and Elizabeth Warren would be good, for the country because it gives them enough, stuff that the people will be happy and they won't revolt against the capitalist system. So he was saying that Bernie and Elizabeth would be good for the capitalist system because it would give people enough, they won't revolt, and the capitalist system remains in place. So he's saying that's, Nico House is saying that's the reason. One of, several reasons why he's racist. I guess his support for Elizabeth Warren, why would that be racist? She could, she opposed Bernie for way too long. If she would have thrown, her votes to Bernie, then Bernie would be president today. But the Hillary Clinton supporters and both the Elizabeth Warren supporters are, decried sexist. They said Bernie Sanders said that he didn't believe that a female could ever be president. That's what Bernie said, that he didn't believe that a female could ever be president. And then Pocahontas, that whole thing, they want to say that, it was Donald. No, Donald was actually pointing out that Elizabeth Warren was using her, to, pretend she was Native American and to use that to elevate her career. So she was using, the structures that were put in place to combat white supremacy. Here this white person is using the structures to combat white supremacy to get the benefits. How does that help? That didn't help black folks. So affirmative action failed, yeah, because Elizabeth Warren's, took advantage of it. The Elizabeth Warren's, I don't know if you could say Elizabeth Warren is a white supremacist, though. So let's see. Earlier he was saying he laughed, he went ahead and verified for the entire world. Jimmy Dore is not a white supremacist, but he did say, he's a middle-aged white man. He's going to have a couple blind spots here and there, which, I think is an interesting comment. But he had pointed out that Nico House, there was something that was going on with him. And out of everybody, the first major platform to help Nico House out was Jimmy Dore. So he's helping Nico House out. Yesterday, he just interviewed Cornel West. I mean, this white supremacist is, he's operating in some weird ways, right? What a weird white supremacist in Cornell. And they talk like they were buddies. They talk like they were chums. You think David Duke or Donald Trump will be able to pull that conversation off? No, Jimmy Dore's not a white supremacist. That is a ridiculous idea. And the whole reason why that was inferred or why that was pointed out was because Ben Dixon said that Bree Joy Gray is an Uncle Tom. She's an Uncle Tom for supporting Medicare for all. Jimmy Dore decides she supports force the vote. And Ben Dixon doesn't support universal health care or the guy that thought of the thing. He hates everybody that says it's a good idea. He's sick of everybody telling him it's a good idea. He's not going to agree with it. You're not going to make him. You better shut your damn mouths. And he's going to burn everything to the ground. And Jimmy Dore, you better watch your back. And then Nico House also makes another, fantastic point about what does Medicare for all and white supremacy. How are they related? How is white supremacy and Medicare for all? Doesn't Medicare for all help black folks so black folks can go to the hospital, get themselves taken care of? In fact, the poverty, right, that disproportionately, so I would assume that is probably worse for health, right? So that would be good for black folks. Ben Dixon is standing opposed to black folks getting themselves some universal health care. And this is just, the first quiver in the quill, right? If we're not going to fight for universal health care, what the fuck are progressives going to fight for? This is the number one issue. This is the issue we're going with. And if you want a top 3 list or a top 10 list, I think get all the progressives, have a super progressive convention just to hammer out a top 3 or top 10 list. We got the Green New Deal. I think I'll stick with the Green New Deal for now. That's guaranteed jobs, that's guaranteed housing, that's guaranteed education, and that's guaranteed health care. In the war on drugs, $2,000 a month, Medicare for all, that's how we get rid of COVID-19. Pay the American people until this shit's over. Give everybody universal health care. Go to the fucking doctor. You're sick. Well, everybody talk about the mask and shit. What are y'all doing? Just fucking coughing on each other and shit? Donald said actually that was the whole point. Get everybody sick and then, they come back with stronger antibiotics. So he was willing to sacrifice 300,000 Americans. 300,000. Might be inflated. Even if it was twice, 100,000. It's too many. In the war on drugs, get us universal health care. Universal basic income now, $2,000 a month. I'll give you 1 minute of
As indigenous women were getting their arms shot off and their eyes shot out, and people were being shot with water cannons. And, having their land stolen from them. As Elizabeth Warren pretended to be Native American, while plagiarizing recipes and making money off of a cookbook called Pow Wow Chow. Now, after she gets exposed and then tells another Cherokee woman who asked her merely to apologize, she wouldn't even apologize. What she said was, I know my family, I know my history. That's what she said. Wouldn't even own up to the shit she did.
Right. It took forever for her to finally say that she was in the wrong about the damn thing. Trying to deflect and say, no, he's the one that's saying, the bullshit. She made money off of a Pow Wow cookbook. Wow. Elizabeth Warren, she's Cherokee, huh? She just had no culture, so she completely pretended she was Cherokee. Maybe she heard it. The Cherokee, they buried them, the dogs with the Cherokee in Kentucky and the I don't know, one of the hills or whatever, the Middens, one of the archaeological digs. So the Cherokee, they, love their dogs, and, that's a good thing. That's a good thing, isn't it?
She did. Took jobs pretending to be an indigenous woman. Then throws them under the bus. And you know what reeks of white supremacy is when you can take jobs pretending to be an indigenous woman, get money in the scholarships pretending to be an indigenous woman, literally plagiarize recipes in a cookbook while pretending to be an indigenous woman, and then somehow, some way, little Theo Thumbs like yourself still pretend as if you were not enabling white supremacy and that her very presence on that stage as if she was some type of legitimate candidate isn't and only entirely due to white supremacy. To be frank, she was just as unlikable in reality as Kamala was. But sometimes you gotta sprinkle a little white to make it right. If a black person had pretended to do what she'd done, you know what? Matter of fact, Kamala, the entire election, did try to pretend that she had the shared African-American experience after being raised in Montreal, and of course it showed that she had not. Just off of that, 1-2% black vote.
She does look like a Montreal black person.
That, of course, thanks to Tulsi.
She's brown, actually.
Career. But Elizabeth Warren
beautiful
was able to make it all the way to the primary, all the way to Super Tuesday. And even had people like you trying to convince the world that she was progressive. If that's not a progressive propping up white supremacy, then I don't really know what is, man. But I think that, you and I both know that, right? Because it really isn't about white supremacy. What it's about is Jimmy is becoming more and more and more popular because he decided to take a stand.
Yeah.
With his platform.
Right.
And
something concrete, something real.
There's nothing negative about that. There's nothing. Zero negative about that. If anything, my biggest complaint about the white neo-progressives, males and women sometimes, on Twitter is that they don't use their platform to say, damn all that playing with me on Twitch shit. Damn all that. Don't fight for something. And if you're not going to fight for something, I guess we're going to have to fight you too. Not literally, but politically. That's what we need more of. But instead, the little bit of a platform that you do have, thanks to TYT, finally, after nobody acknowledged your existence before, the little bit of a platform you do have, you decided to use to prop up white supremacy. And although I have my problems with Bernie, you propped up the one person who you knew could legitimately take the youth vote away from Bernie. And you knew this. And you did it anyway. You popped up on MSNBC and talked shit about Bernie anyway. You went up on MSNBC and propped up Elizabeth Warren anyway. And yet you have the unmitigated gall to tell the world that it's actually Bree who's propping up white supremacy? It's actually Bree instead. It's funny because, I don't know if you noticed, but you've been a little bit quiet about Warren because, it's not really popular to like Warren anymore.